Hello, welcome to a new series of Renaissance FM. My name's Stephanie Feeney, Lady Lovely Lute, and my first guest to open the new series is Richard McKenzie, an amazing lutenist who's young and very talented. Hello, Richard.
Hello, Stephanie.
What do you do exactly?
Right then, well, I spend the bulk of my time working as a lutenist and a guitarist, although to be frank, I'm a bit of a multi-instrumentalist. I play many instruments stretching back many years, but the instrument I play the most is probably fiorbo in a continuo context.
Oh, what's a theorbo?
Fiorbo is a very curious instrument, and sadly you won't get to hear it. Today, but a fiorbo is a kind of bass lute. It's a kind of arch lute. It's actually taller than I am. It's enormously impractical to carry around, and it doesn't really go down well on the central line at peak time, I can tell you.
You carry it on your bike, don't you? I'm sure I've seen you do that.
I've certainly walked with it a couple of times with this huge thing on my back.
Oh, wow. Well, tell me more about what are you working on at the moment?
Well, I spend a lot of my time working as a freelance artist with completely and utterly random groups all over the place. For example, on this month's schedule, I'm accompanying a singer up in New York called Joe Bolger, who's an amazing male soprano, by the way, and I'm accompanying a dance concert up in New York at the Early Music Festival with Non-Such Ensemble. I'm performing a lute duet concert in Oxford with Stuart McCoy. I'm performing with the Marion concert and the Fieri concert, and but those are the sort of random gigs. And at the same time, I work pretty much full time at the Globe, Shakespeare's Globe, currently.
Oh, lovely.
And we work on Titus Andronicus, and I'm a deputy for Julius Caesar, which I'm really looking forward to because that's new.
Oh, wow.
And it's a slightly higher quality play than Titus Andronicus, if I'm honest.
Oh, can you tell me more about what you're doing in the Titus and Andronicus?
Okay. Titus Andronicus, Shakespeare's most brutal and violent play. I think the tagline for the production is brutality of the highest order, it is pretty grim, to be honest. There's sort of a death every 20 lines. It's funny, actually. There's so much killing and slaughter.
Don't say that.
but it's fantastic entertainment, and the production is absolutely magnificent, and it's well worth going to see.
And
I think it's great.
Still, how long is that on for?
It's coming towards the end of its run now. July the 13th. It finishes. Get
your tickets, guys.
Yay!
So, yeah. Well, should we listen to some more music?
That's the next thing I was going to lead to is like, what are you working on at the moment? Is I've just finished, very excited, second solo album.
Okay.
Yeah, which is...
What's that in then?
Okay, so the second solo album is, it's going to be called The Parisian Delight, and it's a recording of a whole load of Renaissance guitar and lute works by Adrien Leroy, Guillaume Mollet, and Albert Deripe. Who are all very the main lutenist and publishers of of Paris and the Parisian court in the 1540s, 50s, and 60s. And I decided to premiere some tracks from this new album on this show. Thank you very much.
Great. Let's have a little listen to that then, please. Wow, that was lovely, Richard. I've never heard those tunes before.
Oh, thank you.
What were they, please?
Okay. Well, the very, very first piece that we kicked off the programme with was also a track from the new album. And it's a galliard published in 1551 by Adrien Leroy and plus diminué, which means with divisions, with complicated, very fast, very awkward divisions. And Leroy seems to have been very, very keen on that. Most of his lute books don't survive, actually. It's a shame. We only had the first, third and the sixth lingering over. And the first is by far the most interesting because it is just crammed. It is crammed with interesting genres and material. And it also features a portrait of him as well, which is very nice. He's got a very jaunty hat on.
Oh, I like hats. So did you do the research for that?
Well, it's a program. The Parisian Delight is a program that's sort of accumulated over the last couple of years. I have fascinations with many different repertoires, but I think the Parisian mid-16th century repertoire is very, very pretty. And the second work, which was played, was actually for Renaissance guitar. Now, that's a very, very curious instrument. It's actually quite similar to a ukulele in some ways, but it's a bit bigger. And your fourth course is an octave lower than on the ukulele, but the fact that they are very similar is just pure coincidence. They're actually not related. There's nothing to connect these instruments at all. And that prelude is quite virtuosic. It starts off fairly tame with lots of nice spread chords and solid three-part writing, and then suddenly descends into this flourish, this absolute chaotic flourish of beautiful scaling passages that are very, very fast and sort of imitate each other. And the third and final piece that's been played so far was a fantasy. It's a sixth fantasy in Guillaume Morlay's first lute book of 1552, but it's not actually by Morlay. It's more sort of published by him. This piece is particularly interesting because it's a total hybrid. It consists of it's sort of plagiarism, really. It's sort of half of it's by Francesco de Melano, and the other half of it's sort of like anonymous. It must be Morlay or something. But
they were allowed to do that in those days, weren't they?
Yeah. They played with each other's ideas all the time. It was absolutely fascinating. But a lot of the fantasies in Morlay's first book actually are by the Spaniard Narvaez.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah, absolutely beautiful. And his book was published in 1538, but this fantasy is sort of unique, but contains elements of a load of other fantasies, and it's just a total and utter sort of hodgepodge. Yeah, total, sort of like a trifle fantasy, but very, very beautiful, I think. Wonderful music.
Is it on sale now? Oh.
It should be released by MacKenzie within the next 2 months. We're having a launch party later on this month, and getting an advertising campaign
Lovely.
Together for it,
Can
which
I
would
come?
be fun. Yes, you
Thanks.
can.
Yeah. Oh, well, what made you pick up the lutes anyway? What started it all?
That's a question I get asked an awful lot because it's a bit of a weird instrument to be playing. Well, if you stretch back a long way, the first instrument I played was violin, which is pretty standard. And I took up piano after that, and then clarinet. And with the clarinet, I went quite far with that instrument, and was principal clarinetist at the National Children's Orchestra and then National Youth Orchestra afterwards. But I didn't really like the instrument very much, and the reason being is that I didn't like the repertoire very much. My favourite works for the clarinet are sort of they're by the Mozart output, the Kegelstadt, the concerto. They're absolutely beautiful, and the Brahms 2 Op 120 sonatas are just absolutely wonderful. But that's it. I'm really not keen on clarinet repertoire after that. Not keen at all. So I took up the recorder, and which is actually quite a hard instrument. And the reason it's hard is because it's in its 18th century state. So it's totally and utterly crude. There is nothing to help you out. It's not made of a heavy. It's generally not made of a heavy black wood. It's not covered in metal keys. There is nothing to assist you in playing this instrument. You are alone, and it's a naked woodwind instrument.
It's like the opposite of the lute, really, isn't it? It's like recorder, and because it's like the wind and.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which one's angel? Which one's devil?
Yeah.
That's what I want to know.
Woodwinds, devil. Devil all the way. No. Lute has to be devil, doesn't it? Lascivious sounds of a lute. Yeah.
Yes, it's erotic.
Yeah.
Oh, we should be saying this at 11:15 in the morning.
And I took the recorder on an early music course up in Durham called Norvis, which is a great course, by the way. It's great fun. The lutenists that teach on that course are Martin Eastwell and Stuart McCoy, and they're great fun. And this was back in 2005, and they had a try a lute session. And I was already listening to lots of lute music by this point, but I'd never played a guitar, I'd never played a chordophone before. So I was like, well, I'd never considered playing any of this music, but they had the session, I got to have a go, and it was quite natural. And I've just been playing ever since.
Oh, that's so inspiring. Wow. So do you teach the lute or any other instruments these days?
I currently have... teaching the lute is something I don't get very often asked to do because of its obscurity. I've given master classes and taught pupils at the University of Chichester and at Trinity and also at Leeds College, but currently I have about 5 pupils, and they're all on the rota, and they're all adults or kidults actually, to be honest, lots of them.
So you're younger than them?
Yes, yeah, definitely. But no, I've done quite a bit of teaching in the past, but it's always been on the guitar, on a modern guitar, and on the piano as well. That's where most of my teaching lingers, because I did a dip when I was a diploma on the piano when I was at Chet's, and I'm not a pianist, but I'm an experienced teacher in that area, so that's the main one.
Do you do any other types of work, Richard?
Other types of works, things that are not musical. Some, yes. Yeah. I like the voluntary work sector, particularly mental health.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Which is something that I'm getting more and more into at the moment. I find the area absolutely fascinating.
Oh, brilliant.
Working with mind and hoping to work with Sane, and currently working with the Dragon Cafe, which actually is very, very close to here, and they're absolutely wonderful.
Yeah,
and they've
definitely.
just finished their London-wide, a Festival of Anxiety actually just finished yesterday. But there were many, many fascinating projects on, and I'm going to Mental Health Symposium on the 3rd, for example, and that whole area is just absolutely amazing. And I went to uni at Oxford, and this is how I became interested in that area, because there were so many people there who had issues that were borne out over the course of the degree, and it was really, really quite scary, and lots of them were my close friends as well. And it's a very, very, very real problem. It shouldn't be a taboo. People should talk about it, and people should find ways of projected ways of dealing with it. Creative ways,
yeah,
exactly.
Definitely.
Yeah, I mean, music therapy is absolutely wonderful. It's one of the most therapeutic things. It's one of the most therapeutic things around, and
brilliant. Wow, good for you. I really support that from my past as well, definitely.
It's a great area, absolutely amazing area. But I also I like to edit music into music editions as well. So we have a new facsimile coming out soon, so of music from this period to accompany the CD. So that'll be great fun.
Where's that going to be? In the Lute Society Journal?
Hopefully, yes.
Most likely.
Currently, it is likely, isn't it? But it'll be great to get that out there. Yeah, definitely.
On your website. We'll talk about that later on, though.
Okay.
Your website. And I would like to know, where would you prefer to play? Because I know that the lute, from myself, I have trouble keeping my G string in tune and stuff, and so where do you like to play?
Okay.
Conditions?
Well, that's the thing about these early musical instruments, is that they're not strong monsters like the modern instruments. They're all terribly light construction. And because of these issues with construction, they're very, very sensitive to different environments. Once my Baroque guitar, I took my Baroque guitar for work in southern Spain, and the humidity there was regularly between 20 and 30, and all of the gut frets on the fingerboard totally dried up, completely and utterly shriveled up. I had to put the new ones on. I'm very, very lucky that no damage came to the instrument at all. The instrument was absolutely fine. It was just the frets. But if it had been a bit longer, and if I'd been a little more careless, this was years ago, by the way, then the fingerboard could have risen in different places. And yeah, it's quite. So yeah, it's a really, really good question. And my favourite environment for the instruments I own currently is, it's where they were built. That's where instruments get on really, really well. So England, humidity ideally between sort of 40 to 70, averaging 55. They're really, really comfortable there. But living in least favourite environment, mouldy, super damp environments, because they cause opposite problems and the instrument sort of expands. And the issue isn't with the expansion, it's with the contraction afterwards. When they get back to normal, that's when the danger can set in. And you don't get these problems with like huge modern Steinway pianos or massive sort of monster modern guitars that have all this heavy thick construction. Because they can just withstand an awful lot more, because they're built to be super strong, and these instruments are built to be small and resonant. I've played it on a boat and things, and that because of that it just goes out of tune. But my strings are nylon. So do you play nylon strings as well? I play with Aquila Nylgut. And sort of nice middle ground between the two. I have quite a corrosive sweat on my hands, which isn't great. And I've played with gut strings before, and they have a tendency to erode quickly, and they become expensive when you're forever replacing them. So I'm extremely happy with Nylgut. It's practical and it sounds great. Yeah. They're really, really good strings. Yeah. Oh, great. Well, do you want to play some more music? Perhaps? Yeah. Let's listen to some more. One of the other things I do is I like to produce and engineer. I like working in music technology, and I produce quite a lot of demo discs for different early music groups around and about. And the track that's about to come up is a track from a demo disc produced for a group I've worked with quite a few times called Masquerata. The baritone is Adrian Horswood, and this piece is called Nisi Dominus, and it's by Alonso Madara, and it's published in 1546. Brilliant. Nisi Dominus custodiet civitatem, frustra labora verunt, qui edificant Gloria Patri et Filio et Spiritui Sancto, sicut erat in principio et nunc et semper et in saecula That was lovely. I can't wait to get the CD. Ching. So tell me, Richard, what is a typical week for you then? I think for many like full-time freelance musicians, there probably isn't such a thing as a typical week. It's a lot of the time I don't know. I always know the date, but I don't know what day it is. The fact that it's a Sunday or a Monday or a Friday, it really has very, very little relevance to me half the time. I just get up and do whatever the diary tells me to do that day. But over the course of a week, I could be doing anything from teaching, so like recitals, accompanying operas or singers, weddings, corporate gigs, pretty much anything that comes along, working for a diverse set of employers. Some that I most I really like actually. Yeah, it's quite a nice area to work in.
Oh, brilliant. Well, what about in the morning? Like, don't you get up and go for a jog or make some breakfast? What do you do?
I hate mornings.
You just go and okay.
I just force myself out of bed immediately and just shove myself in the shower, have breakfast, and then that's over with, and my brain sort of gets together after about an hour. So and then I'm just sort of running normally. But yeah, cool. The first hour of being awake is. How are you with mornings?
I like mornings. I get up and make some breakfast. Go for a jog or swim or play my lute. Actually, no, sorry, forget that. I play my lute first before any of those things. So yes,
you play your lute first.
I play my lute first. Yes.
Wow. Okay. No, I don't even do that. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah. Well, I'm working towards something for my sister's wedding at the moment. That's another thing. Yeah. So we've got like 5 minutes left, so please tell me like how we can contact you, because surely you have a fan club and things, Richard.
Oh, I wish lutenists don't get fan club. But I do. I have a website, richardmckenzie.site50.net, and I have a public Facebook page, which it's just Richard McKenzie, lutenist and guitarist. Twitter, I'm at Bard1964. And also there's a YouTube page which is also Bard 1964. So those were sort of grabbed a couple of years back.
Okay.
And there's lots of new material being uploaded all the time. I'm one of the few active lutenists that sort of boast a portfolio online and updates it on a daily basis. So there's a lot of material in there, and there's a lot of evidence to past work and all that kind of thing wrapped up in there as well.
Wow. I really respect you. Wow. I mean, I remember meeting you when you were so young. You were like 18 and I was like 25, and I thought, wow, this man is younger than me and he's a lutenist. Who does he think he is? No, he's done so well. So good for you, Richard. So what else what to say, really? Have you got anything else really that's going on?
Okay, well, we've gone over where I can be found, but it's just like more of an extension as to what we were talking about before. Where do you prefer to play?
Yeah, tell me more about that.
Went about environments, but not actual venues, and this will lead nicely to the closing track. Okay, so in terms of venues, you can have studios, you can have concert halls, small or large churches, in cathedrals. Least favourite of large cathedral sort of areas where your sound gets drowned instantly. You about 4 rows back. Worst cathedral I know for that is Liverpool Anglican, which is just wishy-washy. It's completely inaccessible. And some concert halls can be...
But it has its good points.
Oh, it's beautiful. Yeah. It's absolutely beautiful, and it's stunning to stand outside it. But in terms of favourite venues are small churches. They're perfect for lutes. And my first album, Il Rosetto, first solo album, was recorded in a small church. It was recorded in St Margaret's in Binsey, Oxfordshire. And we're going to close with a track from the first album, which was published in 2012. It's Il Mi Suffi. It's a chanson by Sermesi, but it's published by Domenico Bianchini in Venice in 1546. He was a mosaic artist by trade.
Oh.
And his mosaics can still be seen today, actually, in Venice, which is pretty cool.
Oh, lovely. And how did he die?
I think he died naturally, actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
he wasn't killed or anything?
No, he wasn't. Yeah, no wars or plagues or hangings or anything nasty like that. I'm not certain. You have to.
He was a good boy. Then.
Go on Grove and find out.
Oh yeah, Grove's got a lot of stuff. Do you do your research in Groves?
Yeah, I use Grove as a starting point, or if I've forgotten the password wiki, but I'd have to be absolutely desperate and my as a last chance. So
brilliant. Oh well, we're going to wrap it up, and we're going to listen to this music that Richard's been talking about, and I'll thank you and join you next week, where my guest is a famous lutenist, who I'll put it up online and tell you and leave you in suspense. Thank you. See you next week. Bye.